Hey everyone, it's Jacqueline for Pixie Dust PhD. You don't actually have to own a Disney Vacation Club contract, be that via resale or direct through Disney, to stay in a DVC villa. Up next, we'll talk about how. For your upcoming trip to Walt Disney World, do you want to stay in a DVC villa to have those extra comforts of home? Maybe you'd like to have your whole family together in one suite. Or maybe you just want to test out DVC before actually purchasing it. This may be easier than you think. There are two main methods to being able to stay in a DVC villa without being a DVC owner. First, very simply, you can go ahead and book a DVC villa through Walt Disney World like you would any other hotel room. On the Walt Disney World website, you'll enter the dates you want to stay, select the Deluxe Villas category, see what's available, and you'll have a cash rate just like any other hotel. You'll enter your information and provide your credit card number to hold your reservation. In this case, you are not staying on points. Your stay will be just like any other hotel stay. You'll have daily housekeeping and you will have to pay for parking. If you want to know some key differences between a hotel stay and a DVC stay when paying with points, go ahead and check out this video I did. Using this method, you can also easily turn your reservation into a package deal. That is, you can buy your tickets with the same time as reserving your hotel and add the Disney dining plan. Since you're the one doing the booking, you will have all the control over this, and everything will show up very quickly in your My Disney Experience account. The other main method is to rent points. By rent points, I mean you're going to pay an individual to use their DVC points. Sometimes DVC owners may not be able to use their points that year due to other commitments. Rather than letting their points expire or banking them for future years' use, some owners will opt to go ahead and rent their points out to other folks for cash. Disney does not facilitate renting points, so note you will not be going through Disney to do this. Instead, there are two main methods to go about renting points. First, you can contact a DVC owner who wants to rent out their points and facilitate that transaction between the two of you. Even if you don't know a DVC owner personally who wants to do this, you will surely be able to find forum posts facilitating this if you look. Of course, this does come with some risk, so be sure to do your due diligence and make sure that you aren't getting scammed. If you're facilitating a transaction directly with the DVC owner, typically those prices are a little bit lower than if you're using a third-party company. That's because you're taking the middleman out. Naturally, using a third-party company costs a little bit more because that extra cost goes to keep the company in business. The other main way to rent points is using a third-party website. Like I said, Disney doesn't facilitate this, but there are plenty of other companies that do. These third-party websites all operate slightly differently, but largely the general process is the same. You will submit your vacation dates as well as resorts that you're interested in staying at, and then an agent will go ahead and look to see if they have that availability. You'll be in contact with that agent, typically via email, and eventually, if you find something you want to book, they'll facilitate that process for you. Some third-party agencies require a refundable deposit during that time when the agent is looking for availability for you, whereas others don't require any deposit. And like I said, there are differences, but largely if you go ahead with a booking through a third-party agency, you'll owe some amount of the money pretty soon, and then the rest will be owed within a month or so before your vacation. Most third-party websites will also facilitate adding the Disney dining plan onto that reservation with the DVC owner if that's something you're interested in. That being said, often the cost of the Disney dining plan is due right away. In either case, when you're renting points, someone else is literally making the reservation for you, but they will relay that reservation number to you and you can add that to your My Disney Experience account. Once your reservation is linked to your account and you arrive at Walt Disney World, it's just like any other vacation. You can still do early online check-in, they will text you your room number when it's ready, and your MagicBands will still work as room keys. However, typically when you're renting points, either working directly with a DVC owner or using a third-party website, changing that reservation up is going to be difficult. So read the fine print of that transaction and be sure that you're sure you want to do this vacation. I have rented DVC points through a third-party company before and everything went perfectly smoothly. I really had no complaints. But note that you are staying on points. It's not a cash reservation, so you aren't going to get the typical hotel stay, meaning you won't have daily housekeeping unless you pay extra for that. But for now, at least parking is complimentary when you're staying on points, so that is a nice perk. But ultimately, renting points means giving up some control over your reservation, and so why would you even bother? Well, compared to the cash rate, it can save you quite a lot of money.
Here, we have the official Disney Vacation Club website, and we're looking at the Animal Kingdom Villa's Kidani Village. This website allows you to easily explore how many points it would take for your vacation. The number of points required per night, of course, scales with the size of the accommodation. So the least number of points is required for a studio, and this goes up when you go to 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and of course 3-bedroom grand villas. As a brief example, let's say you and one other person are vacationing together and are happy to be in a studio. Now, the cheapest is a standard view studio, but frankly, those are very hard to come by. There just aren't very many, so they're hard to book in general. Instead, let's go for this Savannah view. The number of points required per night is more on weekend nights than weeknights, and also it changes per season. What I mean by that is for very busy times at Walt Disney World, it will cost more points per night than at low season times. For example, if we look at staying for the week of Christmas, you can see that this will cost 145 points total. Versus, let's go ahead and look at a lower season week, maybe sometime in October. Let's do the 11th to the 18th. Now it only costs 116 points for our whole week stay instead of that 145. So if you're trying to maximize cost savings by renting Disney Vacation Club points, definitely take a look at the point charts. And if it's at all possible for you, try to go during a low season where you need less points per night. So for this week, from the 11th to 18th of October, that's 116 points to stay in a Savannah View studio at Kidani Village. This will vary depending on who you're working with, a direct DVC owner or through a third-party website. But let's say on average, they're asking for $20 a point. $20 times 116 points puts you at around $2,300. So this would be the cost of your hotel accommodation for that week-long vacation. Definitely not cheap by any means. Now, navigating to the hotels page on the Walt Disney World website, let's go ahead and look at that same week. And here, let's look at Deluxe Villas. And we'll click Find Resort. So now, scrolling down to Animal Kingdom Kidani Village, this starts at $498.20 per night before tax. And the Savannah View, actually, which is the room that we were looking at, is $628 before tax. So let's go ahead and look at how much this would cost. Paying cash through the Walt Disney World website for the Savannah View studio comes to $4,400 before tax. After tax, so we're almost at $5,000. Versus paying on points, remember we were just over $2,300. So for the same room, you can pay a whole lot less by renting DVC. This $2,300 for renting points gets us a 7-night stay. So let's figure out what that average is. So it's about $330 per night. So let's see what we could get at Disney World for cash for about $330 per night. We'll sort price low to high. So you could definitely stay in an All-Star this same week. It looks like you could definitely stay in Coronado Springs. But even the Caribbean Beach Resort, probably not. Port Orleans is a little expensive. Now, this may be due to lack of inventory because we are only looking in October, so not too far in advance. If we click on the Caribbean Beach, you can see that a lot of the rooms are unavailable for this full week, which is why it's such a high price because you're getting into the pirate rooms, which are specialty rooms. They are upcharged a little bit. Looking at the Port Orleans Resort, Riverside, same thing. A lot of the rooms are not available during this time, so we're looking at the Royal Guest Room price, Woods View, which is, again, an upcharge. And you can see as we scroll through this list that a vast majority of these resorts' nightly average, without tax even, far exceeds the nightly average of renting DVC points. And some of this is based on limited inventory, but that might be something that you run into when planning your Walt Disney World vacation if you're not planning it more than 6 months in advance, which a lot of folks don't. Generally, I found when you rent DVC points, that nightly average will be about the same price that you would pay for a moderate resort. So similar here, you're seeing this Disney Coronado Springs resort. This is before tax, so let's go ahead and see what it would be after tax. We'll pick the cheapest room, the standard view, no ticket, $2,200, very similar. So generally speaking, if you are willing to pay the money to stay in a moderate resort and pay those prices, you might look at renting Disney Vacation Club points because depending on the week, you may be able to stay in a deluxe villa for a very similar price. The example I just showed you was Kidani Village, which is at the Animal Kingdom Lodge, and those points per night are actually fairly cheap. You can definitely get resorts that cost quite a lot more. You can see this is 9 and 11 here at Animal Kingdom versus Bay Lake Tower starts at 14. And every additional point, of course, is another $20 or so if you're going through the rental market, so it's definitely something to consider. Let's say instead you wanted to stay at the Beach Club Villas. Those deluxe studios start at 15 points per night. Let's go ahead and look at the same week that we looked at for the Animal Kingdom, so October 11th through October 18th. This would require 107. That actually is less than the amount of points for our Savannah View room example at Animal Kingdom Lodge, but the chances of you being able to snag this room are fairly slim. And as you can see, the next size room, a 1-bedroom villa, is now 27 points per night instead of 15. So if you were dead set on staying at the Beach Club for this week and you couldn't get a deluxe studio, but you still wanted to stay, so you decided to go ahead and pony up for a 1-bedroom, that's now going to be 211 points. And at a rate of roughly $20 a point, you're talking $4,200, so almost twice as much, which makes perfect sense given that the points per night is effectively twice as much. But generally speaking, you'll find when you do this exercise that the amount of money you will pay to rent points would be less than the amount of money you would pay for a cash room rate through Disney's official website.
And rates are subject to change at any time, and certainly they do differ a bit between different third-party companies, but largely you would be paying anywhere between $18 to $20 or so per point for renting points from a third-party company for a DVC stay. Additionally, if you're booking 11 months out, meaning you're trying to take advantage of that home resort booking window, that will usually cost a couple extra dollars per point than booking 7 months or less in advance. But of course, booking early means there's also the largest amount of availability. If you found this information helpful, I hope you'll consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Ring the bell icon to get notifications whenever I post new videos. My goal is to hit 100 subscribers by my birthday, so any and all interactions with this video definitely help me out. If you want to chat in more informal ways, find me on Instagram or Twitter at PixieDustPhD. Have you ever stayed at a Disney Vacation Club villa without being a DVC owner? Have you had good or bad experiences renting points before? Let folks know in the comments down below so they know what to expect. I hope you're having a magical day, and see you real soon at PixieDustPhD.